Hello, everyone, and welcome to our February desktop time. As you can see, our esteemed guests have already joined us, so we're just waiting for all of you to come in and join us as well. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule today. We always are very excited to hear from our different guests. We're very fortunate to have our panel that we have today, as we always are. And so we're going to jump in just a few moments. I see people are starting to file in. So in the meantime, Jeff's going to show us his impersonation of Flava Flav. So it's an inside joke. You'll have to find out later about that one. But anyways, we're very grateful you're here today and hope you join us in future months as well. As usual, we are sponsored by this company that's hid behind my big head there, QBox, although we won't be talking about QBox today. If you're interested, check out our website, qboxplus.com. We'd love for you to give it a try and see what you think. But again, today we're joined by a very esteemed panel. We have Joe Woodard and Jeff Edmonds from the Woodard. I always want to say the Woodard Group. That's just an old guy thing.
We'll answer to that.
Okay, Woodard Group. And we also are very fortunate to have Bill McCaslin here with us today from HandiFox. So he's going to be introducing and demonstrating their product to us in just a short while here. But I'm going to go ahead and start reading an introduction to these gentlemen. And I have to say these bios are very long, so I may do a little bit of abbreviating. So, but we'll go ahead and start with Joe. He's an author, consultant, business coach, and national speaker. And he's trained at over 100,000 accounting and business training. He has trained over 100,000 accounting and business professionals in areas of practice development, changing technology trends, strategic consulting, and how to maximize the use of accounting software in their practices. He's been recognized, I'll say several times, as the Accounting Today top 100 influential people. He's been included in that list. Also the top 40 up-and-coming thought leaders under the age of 40. And he also publishes articles for Intuit Publications, as I'm sure you're mostly all well know, and also for Insightful Accountants. So we're very fortunate to have Joe with us. He's currently the CEO of Woodard Events, which I think they may mention a little bit about scaling, which is coming up in just a couple of months. We're also joined by Jeff Edmonds from the Woodard Group. And Jeff began his career in the financial software industry in 1999 with Lacert. And just shortly after that time, it was purchased by Intuit. He was an account manager with Intuit. I can't talk today or read. He was able to consult with both large and small accounting firms. He's worked and trained alongside QuickBooks Pro advisors for about 17 years. Boy, you guys are really dating yourself here. After leaving Intuit, Jeff worked for Mendelsohn Consulting, but his passion by far is in training and development. His recent book, Character-Driven Leadership, was written for leaders who desire to maximize their leadership effectiveness based on the principles of human character. And so, Jeff, we're happy to have you here with us today. And then last but not least, we have Bill McCaslin with us, and he's been the product manager and one of the founders of HandiFox since its inception in 2005. He's responsible for working with customers to define the product features, assisting in sales and marketing efforts, and helping resolve problems which may arise. Bill's one of the most experienced HandiFox team members, and he likes his job as well as helping people to solve their inventory-related problems. He previously was with Harris Corporation in Melbourne, Florida as a VP of programs. So welcome, Bill.
Thank you very much. I have a flunked retirement, as they say.
Okay. So welcome to you guys, and we're going to start off. Jeff and Joe are going to talk to us about what's up with Woodard, including, I hope, scaling new heights. I saw someone make a comment, so I'll turn the floor over to you guys and go ahead and tell us what's going on with Woodard.
Well, thank you. It's always great to be here. This is a fun time for me, and since I launched my entire career with QuickBooks Desktop, I love what QBox is doing. I love how it's empowering desktop users to continue to use QuickBooks and collaborate with their accountant. So I just had to throw that in. You didn't ask me to do that, Chris, but I had to say it. I think you guys are awesome. You've invited me here today to talk a little bit about my vision with client transformation, and I appreciate that because I'm passionate about it. Over the last several years, I have asked thousands of accountants a singular question. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here for a second, and in just a minute you'll see what some of the answers to the questions are, as well as the question itself. There you go. So you're looking at the right one. You're looking at my presentation, I hope.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I asked them to answer this fill in the blank question. Don't sell me accounting services, sell me blank. Now, I wasn't asking small business owners. I was asking accountants what they think their small business clients would use to fill in that blank. Now, I know you're already, listeners probably processing this list, but it is eye-opening, right? Psychological health, knowledge, solutions, process, time back, direction, measurements, metrics, which are not the same thing. We can go different visit for that one. Automation, standardization, leadership, coaching, profit, scalability, peace of mind, hope, work-life harmonization, financial security, a plan, vision and a purpose, visibility and clarity, stability. It's an extensive list, right? And it'll all start to blur together, but then we saw patterns emerging. We saw that there were patterns along every one that I just colored in blue right here, and all of those aggregate around a certain focus of transformation work. And then there's another pattern here, which we'll call the green pattern. And then there's a third pattern around the brown. And now some of these didn't fit a particular pattern. We didn't know what to do with them. So I'll tell you how they fit in just a minute. But we broke these three patterns down into three areas or three focus disciplines of transformation work: visibility, operations, and technology. Now, those are kind of generic terms. So let me kind of put this into the framework of what you'll be facing when you go to your small business owner. When you talk with a small business owner, bookkeepers, tax preparers, auditors, whatever role you're playing, anytime you're engaging a small business owner, you are engaging someone who is driving a car with the windows covered and with no visibility whatsoever to where that car is going, with except for maybe some very broad stroke guidance they're getting from whatever report they're looking at. So if anybody watching this webinar has watched the movie Bird Box, and unless you're just terrified of thrillers, I recommend you watch Bird Box. In Bird Box, they had to drive the car, and I won't get into all the reasons why, without looking out the windows. So they covered all the windows in black paint and drove the car from the GPS. And they were running into buildings. They were running into other cars. And then a bunch of stupid teenagers decided they would take the Bird Box challenge. Go look at it. It made the national news, and they covered all their windows in newspaper, tried to drive their car only using the GPS. And they ran into, I think one person ran into another person, right, and got arrested. So this is what small businesses are doing. They're driving with no visibility whatsoever. And if you can say to them, I have in my pocket a product called visibility, which is that interesting to you? Would you pay me for visibility? Then they will readily buy it once you connect it to the blindness they're suffering, their pain. And instead of just saying, look, I'm an operational consultant, because first, yawn, right? Second, been there, done that, played that out. It's kind of mixed results. Instead, if you say, I see inefficiencies in your business, and I have in my pocket a product called Business Efficiency. Would you like some efficiencies? That's a product you can sell. And then on the technology side, yes, there is a role for the implementer, but this is more technology design, right? So I have a product in my pocket I'd like to sell to you. It's called business modernization. I can modernize your entire business. Would you like me to sell that to you? Now, I'm being a little simplistic, but the point I'm trying to make is people will only pay their hard-earned money for one of two things: a solution to their problem or how you make them feel. Most of what we deliver is a solution to their problem. But unfortunately, when we're working in the traditional world of tax and accounting, they don't see it as a solution to their problem from a positive value perspective. They see it as a negative, that I'm preventing them from an unwelcomed IRS audit or from tax liabilities that come from noncompliance. I'm preventing them from having bad books and therefore losing their bank loan. Everything is about a reactionary response or an overhead need where I'm satisfying some administrative requirement, and that's burdensome. And in the case of tax, unfortunately, has a bad association. We talk about the two worst things in life that are also the two most inevitable things in life: tax, death, right? It's a famous saying, which means that the tax preparer has placed themselves in the same psychological category as the mortician. So need I say more? Let's get out of that psychological paradigm and let's move into a different psychological paradigm, the one where I am your accountant, I am perhaps your tax preparer, because I need to make sure I'm providing services for you holistically. But what I'm presenting myself to you as now is a business coach. I just happen to do those other things too because they're a means to an end to provide my business coaching. So in the focus on transformation work, financial analysis, key performance indicators, predictive analysis, operations would be like production consulting or organizational consulting or maybe owner mentorship. And then the technology advisory would be how to automate your back office, how to put in team collaboration systems like Slack, and how to put in operational solutions that will revolutionize the way you manage inventory or, wait for it, maybe do field work, HandiFox, right? So, if we play this role where it's proactive in nature, right? I'm not just managing support cases when something breaks, but I am proactively deploying technologies that transform your business. That's what this entire conference is about. That's what my entire story is about that really transcends the conference.
So that's it. I didn't want to jump in the middle, but so that obviously that's hard to button up into one title of the show. But I totally track with what you're saying and what the suggestion is for those attending. So is that what the courses will be specifically related to then, each of those categories, or?
Yes, to some degree. About a third of the training at Scaling New Heights is going to address the boxes that you see here. Now, the ones that I didn't color in, those are the how you make me feel benefits. The others are the solution to the problem benefits. But we're going to be addressing all of these at Scaling New Heights with about 1/3 of our training, or about 50 unique breakout sessions. The other 100 breakout sessions are going to focus on small business technologies, advanced QuickBooks training, practice growth and development training, some of the more traditional conference categories. But still, 75% of the training is going to be brand new, never seen before anywhere in the world.
Okay. Now I'm assuming too, I know a lot of pro advisors are familiar with the resources that Woodard provides, but also not only at the show are they being introduced to these concepts, but there's also subsequent training they can enlist in or sign up for directly with Woodard. So maybe you can talk about some of those, also the resources post-conference that are available to them to continue the training in these categories.
Absolutely. So as I continue to share my screen, the best place for them to explore that would be at our website. But right there from the homepage of our website, you'll see the 4 things we do. We coach, we provide resources, we build communities, and we educate. So everything falls into one of those areas. The conference falls into our education category. But like you talked about, Chris, we've got a coaching program called Woodard Institute that's year-round. And it starts with who you are as a leader of your business, of your practice, and what your overall goals are, your vision is for your practice. And then we move into equipping you to provide business coaching services. Because I want to point at the elephant in the room here. I'm talking about something that is terrifying to a majority of the people listening, because they got into accountancy because they like to create order out of chaos, right? And they like to do it, many of them as processors, some of them as introverts, but they're almost all processors. They like to do it in a controlled environment with predictable outcomes, often working solo. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden the paradigm is shifting. Everything is disrupted. And a lot of bookkeeping is becoming automated. And Intuit's QuickBooks Live product, which we can talk about if you want to, is just one more sign of the changing times. So if bookkeeping is going to become more and more automated, and tax preparation is becoming more and more automated, and TurboTax now has live CPAs you can just push a button and get to. Mm-hmm. If this world is shifting so radically, it is more important than ever that accountants enter the boardroom, because the boardroom is where the bots that automate accounting can't live. And the boardroom is where the quick answers to your 1040 return don't happen. The boardroom is where the complexity happens, where the interpretation is key, and where transformation work is done. Now, if an accountant, got something in my throat, if an accountant will accept the challenge to become a boardroom worker, we will help them get there. And we're not just saying that like, come and we'll tell you what you should do and leave you hanging. The training at Scaling New Heights is designed to equip you to do boardroom work. And then Woodard Institute is designed to carry that journey for you throughout the year. So we don't just say what to do. We just don't say why to do it. We say how. And how is hard, but if you'll embrace the how with us, we will deliver how level training for you.
Okay. And interestingly enough, in my experience in working with financial professionals, for the most part, it seems like they already have an established credibility with a certain number of clients and prospective clients. So for them, it's just like you said, kind of stretching themselves, learning these new functionalities, new opportunities to sell within an existing, group of business owners that already treat them with, a high level of respect and give them the opportunity to really start selling those services to those people, other than, like you said, the good old death and taxes. That's what they know. That's what they're comfortable with. But expanding into some of these other horizons, they already have a captive audience and the opportunity to present it to them, I would think.
Yep. And I don't want to take too much of my time, so you tell me when to shut up, because I can talk for 3 hours and just start loose. But I want to address one thing very quickly here, that when we're breaking down this elephant in the room, and I'm kind of flipping through this. If you want to hear more about it, there is a webinar that folks can catch at scalingnewheights.com. But these are the barriers we have learned from our focus groups and our interviews and our market studies with accounting professionals. This is why they're not doing more boardroom work, because they don't identify themselves as transformation workers, or their clients don't. Okay, it's usually the latter. There's a lack of intentionality, right? It's just so much easier to just sort of get busy and stay busy doing the work and kind of forget, like a frog in the kettle, that it's slowly getting commoditized out from underneath you. A learning curve is a big deal, and that's where we come in. We'll help with that. The need to specialize, and I'm going to come back to my friend Bill here. A great entry point to specialization are products like HandiFox that address a specific industry and do so in powerful ways, because you can roll across that product expertise to earn your way to a boardroom position. I did it all the time back in the day when Fishbowl was king, right? And it still is. It was still a big product, but Fishbowl was the wholesale and distribution product, and we consulted on it to the point where we moved beyond just putting in software, and we started consulting on the operations of wholesale and distribution. So begin with the software and branch out from there. It's your entry point. It's your pass to the boardroom. Clients aren't coachable, okay? And then fewer support systems are available. Now we're out there. Few other great companies are focusing on business coaching, but it's rare. There just aren't that many organizations that do that. And then low capacity. They're so busy working on their firms, that they can't get a breath to work on their firms. So we do address these barriers at Scaling New Heights, but I wanted to let everybody know, I'm not thinking this is a primrose path, right? There are obstacles to overcome. There are challenges that you face, but that's what we're here for. We'll get you there.
Well, I am going to kick the 800-pound gorilla, or the elephant in the room. So most of what I've heard the last couple of weeks when people talk about this QuickBooks Live is that whole concept that, well, gosh, the ones that are taking up a lot of your time are the ones that really shouldn't be anyways. You have these great opportunities with some percentage of your business, but you're accommodating these folks that probably just want to file a simple return once a year, don't want any expertise or help. So why not focus on these ones that are interested in the service and expertise that you have? Rather. So that's what I've kind of heard the general discussion. Yes. That's the concept of QuickBooks Live, that we're going to take the crumbs away that are just more of a nuisance and waste your time and don't require your expertise.
Now, for a lot of people, that's the bread and butter. There was somebody in one of our town halls on Tuesday, and I said, you really shouldn't be taking any bookkeeping work under $500 a month anyway. So if QuickBooks wants it up to about $200 to $300 a month, all they're really doing is stirring up the need set and being a top of funnel in terms of overall market lead gen for you. But then, and I'm very sympathetic with this, somebody came on, I think her name was Crystal, I don't remember, and you've got to have to look at the Q&A, and I do plan to follow up with her. She said 75% of my clients are $200 a month or under. This is my entire practice model. Okay. And so while we're saying
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing it. We have to understand, and let's just assume her name is Crystal right now. For the crystals out there, we need to say, well, okay, there is a really present full force disruption that's going to take place to a lot of these accountants. And that's where it's so important that not just me, but I want to send a rally cry out to all the other folks that have communities of accountants. It's so important that we, all of us, help the crystals of this world to navigate this disruption. Got to do it. Yep.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, because I'm assuming there's people who are listening today or will hear the recorded version that will have that very same comment that, hey, that makes up some significant portion of my business, because for some people that maybe is their business model. They, for whatever reason we won't discuss here, but
Right.
So we of course want to be empathetic to them as well and say, okay, there's, like you said, there's got to be an alternative where you can work in conjunction with people that don't necessarily have the time or expertise to do what they're already doing. So
I'll just wrap it up by this, because a picture says 1,000 words, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they find themselves like Dorothy, suddenly in the land of Oz, thrown there by a storm, they need a yellow brick road, and they need a map. They need a very specific guideline to get them where they need to go in order to solve their problem. And it's up to technology developers as well as thought leaders, coaches, educators. If we'll all rally together and give them the yellow brick road, they'll know where to walk.
Yeah. Okay. I think that sums it up very well. So, Jeff, I know you're sitting there quietly. I don't know if you had anything else you want to talk to us about regarding scaling or what you're doing.
I was going to introduce you to my new clock. I mean, that's the main thing that we talked about earlier.
Can I just say, because I've been web meetings all day with Jeff, that new clock has been in that box for a very long time. So I don't know what he's trying to do with that clock.
One of these days. I will say that this is one of the we've been growing Scaling New Heights for a long time. We had over 1,000 attendees last year. I think 1,046 was the number, and so this is the place to be when you're looking for how to grow your business. The other thing that we don't mention very much, but people that go there know, is community. People come to Scaling New Heights because once a year, maybe twice a year, they meet people that have been helping them, that they've been helping each other for years and years and years. They sit at the same table and they talk about the same types of things. And so community is huge. As a matter of fact, if we had 3 legs, it would be the training that we do community, and then the third leg would be our technology, so our trade show floor. Our trade show floor, so Joe asked this question last year before the trade show in a network meeting. He said, if you had to pick one reason to go to Scaling New Heights, what's that reason going to be? And again, this is prior to our 2018 show. And for the first time, and he gave about 4 or 5 options, and the 49%, the top option was for the technology. So it's been education for a lot. So that just goes to show that when you come to the trade show, great education. You're going to see the people you've been, friends, people that'll help you grow your business, that community, that family, if you will. But we're going to have some of the best and newest technology there on our trade show floor. So that is where tons of pro advisors find out about stuff they've never heard about before. That's where they can engage in conversations about stuff they may have heard of, but haven't really had a chance to call the vendor and so forth. So, and all of that, scalingnewheights.com. You can sign up there. You can go to woodard.com and find it there as well.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so if you haven't already registered, now's the time. It's funny how quickly June will come up to us. So if you haven't already registered and made plans to travel and carve that time out of your schedule, make sure you do it soon. It's going to be
Chris, I've got something for you guys. Anybody listening to this webinar, if you go down this little box right here, click the little box, chat our team, and tell them that you heard about us or even that you just watched this episode of Desktop Time, we'll give them $50 off.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much. And we'll remind them in the email. But you just heard it first. So $50 off if you sign up and mention Desktop Time. So thank you very much for that. And we'll look forward to meeting all of you there at the conference. I totally agree with Jeff. Even as a vendor, it's always fun for us just to put, some faces with the names that we've, talked to for years, and both vendors and also users in QBox. So it's always a very rewarding conference for us, in addition to meeting a lot of new folks that haven't heard about us. So very positive experience for both folks that are looking for ways to improve or grow their practice, and also for vendors like us. So Thank you very much again, Joe and Jeff, for taking the time out to join us today. I know you guys got to scoot on to your next appointment, but we definitely appreciate you joining us. And as always, and thank you very much for your expertise in the industry. And by the way, Joe, I don't know if it's okay to mention about the podcast tomorrow also, just in case folks are wanting.
Yes, there is a town hall meeting tomorrow. You can't get to it from our website, but if anybody's interested, they can email info@woodard.com. We are almost at capacity. We have about 50 seats left. So, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much again, guys. We're going to go ahead and transition at this point. And so if you guys have to leave us, Jeff had mentioned you maybe had another scheduled appointment. But we're going to go ahead and at this point introduce Bill once again to us.
Chris.
And, thank you, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks.
And we'll go ahead and introduce Bill to you at this point. And Bill is, as I mentioned before, here on behalf of HandiFox. And it sounds like based on his credentials, there's no one more qualified to introduce us to HandiFox and how it works. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Bill, and he's going to demo how their product works.
Okay, Chris, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Perfect. They can see it.
All right, well, we appreciate the opportunity to be here today and tell people about HandiFox. It's our favorite inventory management software, and we have been in business for about 13 years here. And so it's my pleasure to be here today and talk about it. So let's see, I need to shift here. Here we go. So just a little bit about who we are. We're part of TCOM Group. That's a software developer company, privately held, and headquarters here in Melbourne, Florida, back in '92. So we've got a staff of about 200 engineers on our on the payroll. They're not all working on HandiFox, but across the programs, we were able to share a pretty good number of engineers, which means that if we need some help, we have access to the staff, and that it is not a small team that's trying to do all this by ourselves. We do try to follow very carefully high-quality engineering processes in terms of the design and the requirements and the testing, which basically means less bugs to the customers. We're very proud of the fact that not many bugs get out of our testing system. And so we do continually try to stay with that. We do have an offshore component that helps us to keep our costs down, and we really do try to have an individual approach for every customer. So what is HandiFox? It's a system that allows us for users to do inventory transactions in the field and send the results back to QuickBooks over the internet. It runs on handheld computers with barcode scanners that can be out where the work is. In terms of integration, we have a multitude of connections now. We started with QuickBooks Desktop Pro, Premier, and Enterprise. We still support that. That's the demo. I'll show you one transaction in just a minute here. We also work now with QuickBooks Online, and we're just now bringing out a standalone app that is able to do inventory management without QuickBooks. And so it just depends on the user's need. It's exactly what they need, but we can have all the versions of QuickBooks or a standalone version without QuickBooks. And we also now have web ordering capabilities with HandiFox Online and standalone with Shopify, who is I guess about the leading order entry website. And the customers can set up a website within Shopify. Once those orders go into Shopify, then they also appear in HandiFox Online and standalone. And so for the handheld devices, with the legacy product, which is a desktop version, we support Android phones or tablets, and we have a wide variety of those. We're really not restricted, except it needs to be a recent model of Android. And also we support the hardware that goes with something like this, having to do with the printers and the scanners and so forth. So we have a pretty broad availability of hardware. We're a software company. We don't sell it directly, but we sell hardware directly, but we are able to provide a list with our customers of the hardware that we've tested. So HandiFox, where did we start? We started 13 years ago in Chicago. Kurt Cassis called one day, and he said he is a business owner, and he sells out of trucks in the city of Chicago. He sells paint and supplies to body shops. And if the driver has it on the shop has it on the truck when the shop needs it, then they can sell it. If not, their competitors right behind them. It's a very competitive business. So he wanted a system using handheld computers that he could give his drivers that would control and record the various transactions. Basically, They sell out of the truck. They create invoices right in the truck and to deliver it to the customer. And then he wanted to be able to see during the day the status of each of these trucks so that he could help offload high priority items from one truck to another or generally manage the business. So that's where we started. That's what we have. That's the legacy. Kurt is still with us after 13 years, and he's a good friend and provides good references for us, but that's how we got started. So we have a couple of versions here. The desktop version, the legacy product, how does it work? We put a database on the customer's QuickBooks computer, which stays in constant communication with the QuickBooks company file. When the handhelds synchronize, they come in over the internet or inside the building. It can be the Wi-Fi network, and then connect to the database. Constant connection is not required with HandiFox. People typically synchronize 2 or 3 times a day. That you can sync after every transaction if you need to, but it is not required. When these transactions are generated on the handhelds and synchronized, they appear over in QuickBooks and look just like they had been typed into QuickBooks by somebody in the office. And I'm going to show you a little demo in just a minute of how that works. For all the transactions for which inventory items are involved, we can use barcodes to help speed those up. Greatly improves the accuracy. Now, with our online system, how does that work? QuickBooks Online is a cloud app, and then for HandiFox, we also have a server in the cloud that connects to the QuickBooks Online account in the cloud. The handheld synchronized with the connection to the cloud. Again, constant communication is not required, just for when the synchronization needs to happen. And again, same comment about the transactions. They appear in QuickBooks and look like they've been typed in by somebody in the office. In addition, as far as the support aspect of it, we can create and print the labels and create and use the barcodes. And then that's one thing we're bringing to the party here. QuickBooks Online does not currently support barcodes. And we also can manage multiple locations. It could be several trucks, or it could be geographic locations. Again, not supported by current QuickBooks Online. Okay, so in terms of how we are talking to partners about how to know that our inquiry is something that HandiFox might be suitable for. So one of them might be, but somebody says they want to receive items coming in. They get a lot of items in, they need to track those. So what we can say is HandiFox can receive those items that are created on purchase orders and then increase the quantity on hand after the purchase order has been received. Or they might say, I want to do inventory counting. With the handhelds, they can simply take it out to the warehouse, scan the barcode for the item, enter the count, and then click OK and move to the next item and the next item and the next item. When that's finished, then that's electronically sent to QuickBooks after the manager gets to look at it to make sure there's no errors or problems. Other things we hear about, people want to use barcodes for shipping. We can do picking and packing from either sales orders or invoices. And what we do, we create pick lists, or we create lists of the, for each order, we create a pick list, and the operators can go and pull the items and scan the barcodes against the pick list. And then we can also create a packing slip at that time using a printer. Or the prospect might say, I want a mobile computer to sell from the trucks, a route sales guy. And for those kind of folks, then we can create orders and sell items from the trucks. The transactions is created by scanning items. And so that's the little demo we're going to do here. So we kind of sum it up by saying receive, count, ship, sell. We can do all those functions. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to create a transaction on my handheld, synchronize it with QuickBooks, and then we can take a look at it. Let's see, can you still see my screen here, Chris?
Yeah, I can see your screen perfectly.
Okay, so let me just...
Well, actually, I see you, Bill, actually. I apologize. I don't, so...
All right. So let me go back to share screen.
Okay.
And desktop. Okay, so now can you see my Fox guy in the log?
Yeah, I see you. Right, I see it perfectly.
All right. So in terms of the transactions, let's say now I'm a route sales guy, like one of Kurt's guys, and I'm going to a customer. I'm going to create an invoice from the truck. So on the left is the viewer for my handheld device, inventory functions on the left and sales functions on the right. I'm going to tap on sales, and the first thing to do is pull up a customer. Got a lot of B's in my list here. So we can go down to Bill's Road Service, and I see that the balance with Bill is $327, so we would probably be willing to take some more orders from him. So I've highlighted Bill. Now at the bottom I've got a multiple set of transactions we can do here. I can do a sales order, I can do an invoice, I can take a payment, or do a sales receipt. So what we want to do is do an invoice. So I'll tap on that. This is a blank invoice for Bill's Road Service. And if I have the barcodes, I can proceed to scan the barcodes. And as for the demo, I just use the camera in my tablet. We do recommend laser scanning for operation. So I scanned the barcode, it found it on the item list, and put the on the list of items with quantity 1. I could scan it 2 or 3 more times or just type in a number. Let's say we need 3. Okay, then I can pick up the next item, scan the barcode. Okay, so we found that one, and even this one on that one, let's say. We'll do one more. Okay, so let's say we need 2 of those. Okay, so I have built an invoice for Bill's Road Service. I can save it. Okay, now I've also got an option here for a signature. So if I'm with the customer and I'm delivering something, I can go ahead and just type in Bill, because you won't be able to read it when you get back to the office.
Oh, wow.
Bill can't write very well either.
You and I both, Bill.
Okay. All right, then I can save it. Okay. So the sales order or the invoice rather, is in the system here. And let me go over and bring up my QuickBooks. Let's see here, Chris. I've got something. Let's see if I can do this way. Okay, I need to log in again because of the screen here.
Okay.
Okay, so there's invoices. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sync the handheld again. Syncing doesn't take very long. We don't send big files back and forth, just the new data. So it doesn't take very long.
Now, will HandiFox sync to a deactivated file, or just one that's open and active? The QuickBooks file has to be open, or?
The QuickBooks does not have to be open.
It does not, okay.
Well, let's see. I think I've got another copy of QuickBooks open here. Here we go. There we go. Okay. That's the secondary. I want the primary. Okay, let me sync it again. Okay, so there's our transaction. Okay, so this, I'm sorry, that was one from yesterday. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong one. So here's the invoice that we just created. Sorry for the delays here. So we had from the handheld device, the operator or the user went out with the customer, created an invoice, saved it in the handheld, and then synchronized, and then this was electronically sent over to QuickBooks, and it's an active QuickBooks invoice. If they needed to add something to it, like shipping and handling or something like that, or change it, they could. And so this really illustrates what we were set out to do with HandiFox, which is have transactions in a handheld device that can save them in the handheld, use the barcode scanner to select the items, and then electronically send the data over to QuickBooks, and it shows up just like any other QuickBooks invoice and can be used by the customer for whatever they need to do. Okay, so that's our little demo here.
Okay.
So let me get back to the screen.
Okay, so if anybody has any questions for Bill, this would be a great time to go ahead and fire them in the chats. We'd be happy to answer those for you now. Actually, I see, I'm sorry, you're moving on to the scanners.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so in terms of hardware, as I said, we don't sell it directly, but we do recommend several items. Basically, we do need an Android device for the handhelds. The TC56 and TC70 are two that people are using. And then there's another configuration where instead of a one device, they can use a scanner that connects to a tablet with Bluetooth. And there are several options there, the Socket Motorola and Opticon. That's quite a bit less expensive than the ruggedized devices for the TC56 categories. It just depends on the user and what they need. And we've got Brother and Zebra label printers on our list and over on our website. And here's another receipt printer for like Kurt's guys. They can print out a copy of the invoice on a 2-inch printer and leave it with the customer.
Okay.
Okay, so other questions, what about training? If people buy licenses from us, we provide free online training. And it's very similar to the demo with the transactions. You saw one transaction. We go through the transactions over the internet, and that generally takes care of the training. And one big reason for that, I guess there's a couple of big reasons. One is that we don't have a separate program like some of our competitors to learn. We do have some menus that are in QuickBooks, but we don't have another whole app to learn other than HandiFox. And we're also using terminology that's familiar to the guys in a distribution business or a wholesale business. And so we find that basically one training session is usually fine. It's free, and they're free to do it again, but usually that will take care of it. What about support? Again, if people buy licenses from us, 60 days of support free. There's an optional paid support after 60 days, which includes the free updates. That's for the desktop. For the new online, that actually support for that is free, or it's included in the basic price for HandiFox Online. Okay, so in terms of pricing, this is a legacy product. That's the one I've been using today. We call it desktop. These are sold as lifetime licenses for a fixed fee. So the fill-up version is called HandiFox Sales. It's $5 less than $1,500 or $14.95. We do have a sort of a HandiFox Lite that can use barcodes, receive items on purchase orders, and do inventory counting, but not the sales orders and invoicing. So basically, two different products in that area. Online is more as what people are doing these days. These are online charges on a per month basis. And the $109 per month actually includes access for 3 users and 5 devices. And the details are on our website as to exactly what that means. So different pricing consistent with the way more people are doing these days. So when we say, people might say, well, what's your competition and how do you differentiate yourself? We think that one of our biggest strengths there is that we have a very tight integration with QuickBooks. There is no separate desktop to learn, as I mentioned, and we try to make it a very seamless connection with QuickBooks. And we can also, what we bring to the party here is the ability to create, manage, and print the barcodes, and as we have talked about a little bit today. Training is easier. I've already mentioned that because of the fact we're using terminology that people are generally used to. It's not a new thing, and there is basically no new software package to learn. And as far as support, we are able to do that online. with the user's permission, we can log into their database online and see exactly what's happening and correct anything that might come up. We kind of brag here since we've never had to travel to a site to train or fix problems. So as a case study, up in Maximus Detailing up in New York, he had decided to buy a fishbowl and heard about HandiFox through a buying group that he was a member of. And so he did the trial, requested 2 changes, has been using the system for about 4 years now, I think, and very happy, and it's a very good referral for us. And so we're also very happy with some of our feedback from sites like Capterra. If you look at the little graphic down there, HandiFox actually, for our support and the Capterra review, we got a perfect 5 out of 5 on support. And we were very pleased to get that. And also a very good score in terms of the technical side or the content. And we were been able to pick up a couple of awards recently, or the last couple of years anyway. A couple of years ago out at the QuickBooks showdown that they have every year, we were finalists there, and in terms of accounting technology and also Sleeter Group. So in terms of contacts here, that's our website. HandiFox.com is the legacy product. HandiFox.online is the new online product. And then we have some videos over there on YouTube. Mike is our partner manager. That's his details that you can see there.
Okay.
So this is me, with the guy with the gray hair, white hair, having flunked retirement, but enjoying working with HandiFox very, very much for several years here.
Very excellent, Bill. Thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction. I personally wasn't familiar with some of the functionality, and I think your support background or history as verified by the website you showed us is fantastic. That to me should be, the bread and butter of any positive application, is people standing behind their product. So you obviously do that very much. I did have one question someone sent in. They were asking if you sync the data more than once, will QuickBooks acknowledge that and avoid duplicating the information?
Correct. Every transaction has a unique number associated with it, and you can sync as much as you want, but the system keeps track of that. We don't double dip. I think that's kind of the question there. You can sync multiple times and still it only does one update.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think that was the question, because and we hear that we deal with QuickBooks Desktop users, and we'll hear that from time to time, mostly with payroll providers, where we'll say, "Gee, it looks like you'll have to download the last input that didn't show up because you didn't lock the file," and some of them will actually duplicate information. So that's good to hear that there is some sort of check and balance that avoids them entering invoices or any information from a truck or a remote person multiple times. I did have one other question. You mentioned something about one of the devices or scanning devices now have Bluetooth. Are people transmitting updates from the field when they have an invoice, or do they wait until they return to the office usually to integrate their updates to the QuickBooks file? Or
I would say some of both. The current example remotely, they never go back to the office, his office. Everything is remote, and he asked them to sync after every transaction, so he knows exactly what's happening. Okay.
Okay.
That's really not everybody. But I would say what I say to them, we say you ought to sync a couple of times a day, maybe in the morning and lunch and evening, something like that.
Okay.
If it's hot, if it's a hot order or something, the sales guys and something is hot, they can go ahead and sync right after. If they're sitting with a customer and they have in their cell phone data service, they could send it right from the customer to get it back to the office right away.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay, any other questions, folks, that you might have for Bill regarding HandiFox and their inventory management? Before we also let Bill escape us here, we're getting close to our time here. Thank you very much again for the demo, Bill. I was very well done, very comprehensive, and we'll also send, I know he flashed a couple of slides with some contact information. We'll include that in a follow-up email tomorrow as well from Desktop Time. To you folks that are able to join us today, and also all of the folks that are registered for Desktop Time. So I don't see any other questions flashing up. I think that's because you did such an excellent job, Bill. You answered all the questions proactively. Okay, well, thank you very much again for joining us, Bill. We really appreciate your time. I know you're extremely busy, and so we thank you for your
No,
expertise and sharing about your product. And thank you once again. We'll look forward to having you on a future episode of Desktop Time.
thanks for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. Thanks again, Bill. Have a great rest of your day. And to everyone else that joined us today, thank you very much again for taking time out of your busy day. I know there's this little thing called tax season going on, so we appreciate you joining us. As Joe mentioned, it's kind of funny. I think this time of year strikes the fear into all of us in this industry, but hang in there. Make sure you do something to enjoy yourself every once in a while, and don't take it too seriously. You're going to get through it by the end of April. I promise it's going to end for at least a couple of months. So thank you very much for taking time out to join us today. We really appreciate your attendance. Next month, just to mention, we are going to have returning Joanne Del Balso as our guest host, and we're also going to have David Leary joining us from Auto Entry. Most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with David. He used to be an employee of Intuit. So we're looking forward to hearing more about Auto Entry and also what he's up to these days. So thank you very much again for taking time out of your busy day to join us. We thank you. We look forward to having you back next month. And if you have any other questions or concerns, please email one of us or visit our website, and we'll be happy to answer anything we can for you. So thank you again. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next month. Take care.